Time for your fan weather forecast brought to you by Utke Heating and Cooling. Right now, 52 degrees, mostly cloudy skies. So looking for the rest of the evening. Looks pretty good. No rain in the forecast here on Halloween. Low tonight of 35 degrees.
Some shows talk about one team. Other shows barely talk sports. This show will talk Packers, Brewers, and Bucks every day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily with Steve Sparky Fifer, served up by Wendy's on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. Download the Wendy's app today.
Welcome in as we broadcast live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Steve Sparky Fifer here. Charlie using other side of the glass, streaming this bad boy live on X and on YouTube at WI Sports Radio. Charlie and I both dressed up in our costumes for the day. People really digging the Charlie using outfit over there from, what is it, Righteous Gemstones?
Righteous Gemstones. You got it. You nailed it.
What's the name of the character? BJ from Righteous Gemstones. Charlie looks much different than he looks any other day of the week, I promise you. So check that out. I'm dressed up in a Care Bear outfit. If you want to check that out as well. Continuing on this hour, Ben Worgull, Badgers on SI. We're going to talk some Badger basketball. They just lost a player for something that apparently occurred prior to him getting to Wisconsin, is my understanding. So we'll talk to him about that. Charlie Sounds of the Day, brought to you by Prize Picks. That comes up at 3:40. Before we get to these Carmelo Anthony comments, that I think are going to blow your mind, and not in a good way. I want you to get to Trav in Brown Deer. You're next on the Nicolay Law Talking Text line. What's up, Trav?
How's it going, guys?
Good.
I'm going to be a lumberjack, right? Yeah.
Oh, so a lumberjack.
Yeah.
All right.
I like that, Trav.
Okay, lumberjack is good, Trav. So you got like them. I mean, I can't be a lumberjack. I got no muscles. But, I mean, can you pull off the lumberjack thing, man? You got like the big arms and stuff, Trav?
No, it's a lot of wood cutting, and that gets to my point, we had COVID and stuff, right? And Leroy, you guys got to come here. There's like Brett Favre, right? There's a lot of work here, right? And we had the flood. I'm still working on it, so yeah. So
you want me, Gary, and Leroy to come by your house to help you clean up your property? That's what you just
Sparky
said?
will be no help.
No. I'll clean it up, right? But Charlie, I went, and Sam, yeah.
Yeah, so you want the bigger dudes to come over and help you clean up the wood and stuff.
No. just talk sports.
Oh, talk sports.
Okay, I can do that.
Charlie can do that. You probably don't want him in the outfit he's wearing, but yeah.
It goes back to the fucking.
No. All right. Goodbye, Trav. No. See, this is the problem with Trav that we have. Sometimes Trav lets it slip a little bit when Trav is talking. And then you realize at one point back in the day, he did it 3 days in a row.
3 days in a row?
3 days in a row. We got to dump him. 3 days in a row.
Trav.
This is the first time he's done it, right? So with you?
Second time.
Second time he's done it, right. Yeah, so I sorry, Trav, we can't let you out doing that type of stuff. All right, speaking of the dump button and bleeping out and so forth, we bring you Carmelo Anthony. Now, Carmelo Anthony was on a podcast called 7 p.m. in Brooklyn, and he was talking about Michael Jordan's comments on workload management, right? Load management, as they like to call it, where, you're sitting guys to rest them and so forth. And Michael Jordan came out on NBC and kind of poo-pooed the whole thing and talked about, hey, man, when I played, I played for the dude sitting up in the upper deck in the last row that has script and money together come out there and play. He goes, and when I'm on the road, they're probably there booing me and talking crap or whatever else. I'm trying to shut them up, but I'm playing for the people in the stands. That's why I got up. No matter if I felt good or not, I'm going to go play. Now, physically, if I wasn't able to, fine. But otherwise, I'm going to play through whatever to put on a show for them because that might be the only time they get to see me, which is great. That is how you should treat it. And not just superstars, them more than others, not just superstars, but just players in general, man. You are the entertainment for the people that are paying their hard-earned money to come out there and watch you play. And you're paid handsomely to be the entertainment for the people that are coming out there and playing. And then if you are able to play and choose not to because you have a boo-boo and don't want to play through it because there's so many games in the season, I just can't. I promise you, last night, there were people at Fifer Forum that were livid with Giannis. Livid. Guaranteed. Because, again, a couple hours before, Doc Rivers, he's probably going to play. The game starts, no Giannis. He's laughing, having a good time on the sidelines with his hat and sweatshirt on. All is good. And people are like, really? You couldn't play? You're that hurt? You couldn't play? Really? I guarantee you that was being said at Fifer Forum about Giannis. Promise you.
Yeah, but if Giannis plays in this game, you don't get to have the game that I talked about that me and you love. People who love basketball, this is the type of game I want to go see, honestly.
Totally fine. But again, if you're bringing your kid or whatever, they've never seen Giannis, and we're going to go see Giannis against Steph Curry. It's going to be awesome. And then there's no Giannis kids wearing his Giannis jersey and all that. I mean, I don't know. We can have this conversation all day. But here is Carmelo Anthony on MJ's load management comments.
Now, if you ask somebody like a T-Mac, he's going to have a different perspective on load management because of his body and what he's been through and the injuries that he dealt with, right? So it's different perspective. I think we have to kind of split this up a little bit. It's a bucket of guys who need the load management.
Mm-hmm.
Joel's situation, that should be load management.
He's been through a lot.
Alonzo Ball should be load management.
Yeah.
Kawhi. Then you have
this
bucket of just, I don't want to play. Like load management is
you played yesterday.
I played yesterday. I'm not playing
You're
today.
Not playing tomorrow.
Because I played yesterday.
Yeah.
That's load management. You look at the week and say, hey, we got 4 games this week. Yo, we're not gonna play game 3.
Mm-hmm.
If you hurt, sit your out. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if you got an ankle injury and you could try to play and you want to try to play, that's on you to go try to play. Now, what you're doing is, and here's where the science come in at. What you're doing is you going to play on that hurt ankle can create something else.
Yeah.
It's a domino effect. So we want to prevent that by resting that ankle and not putting you on that ankle. Whereas before, you heard what MJ said, my ankle hurt, I got to go. That thought process of having to prove yourself when you hurt today is out the window.
Out the window. There's Carmelo Anthony. Again, we just talked about this other day of why people don't watch the NBA and so forth. How concerning are those Carmelo Anthony comments to you when he says there's another bucket of players that simply just don't want to play every single day? They could. They just simply don't want to go out there and play every day. Nicolay Law Talk text line 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250. Socials at WI Sports Radio. Live streaming on X as well as on YouTube. Check us out there. Comment on X. You can also comment on YouTube as well in our dugout chat. So for me, the NBA already has a bad look going, right? Because of all of these gambling allegations and everything else going on with former players, current head coaches, and all this other stuff. Now Tyronn Lue is being looped into all of this as well, allegedly, because, he's really tight with Chauncey Billups and really tight with Damon Jones, is wherever they are, he is. So now there's fingers starting to point maybe at Ty Lue being involved in all this stuff. Who knows? But he hasn't been arrested or nothing. So you've got that going on. You already got through the Tim Donaghy referee scandal where he apparently was involved in this crap, according to the allegations. So you had that going on, and now you got a whole new one, right? The last time the NFL, I don't think the NFL has ever had a referee gambling scandal that I can remember. Guys gambling on their own games. Who was that? Was that Hornig and Karras back in the day? mean, some of these other guys that were gambling on other games, it appears, or other sports, or whatever the case may be in the National Football League. Major League Baseball, you had Ohtani's translator. Apparently, they got wrapped up in some stuff. The NBA's got that bad look going on. Now, you air Jordan on your game of the week on NBC talking about load management. The studio show is Carmelo and McGrady and Vince Carter, right? The host, I can't remember who it was, but the host literally talking about this, turns to Tracy McGrady, goes, "You've never played 82 games in your career, so we'll move on from you." Looks at Vince Carter, goes, "You've done it twice." And then I forgot how many times Carmelo Anthony had. And Michael Jordan, I think, did it 9 times or something like that. Something crazy. I mean, from that perspective, that's not a great look for the NBA either, because Jordan is just putting another spotlight on another issue with the NBA. And then Carmelo Anthony goes on this podcast, 7 p.m. in Brooklyn, and dumps on it even more and really opens it up and says there's dudes in this league that don't even want to play. And I'm not saying that the NBA is the only league that has guys that don't want to play. I'm not saying that. I'm sure the Major League Baseball probably has dudes that are in their clubhouse that could care less, but they're good at it. They get a paycheck. They don't love it, but God gave them the talent, so they play. I'm sure there's dudes in the National Football League that probably don't like it all that much, but they're doing it because they were good at it, and they're going to get paid more doing that than something else in their life. So I'm sure this exists. But like we talked about the other day, you don't have former players bashing on the current players in sport as much as you do in the NBA. And you have another guy doing it right now. And I'm not even saying he was wrong when he did it. This is horrible for the NBA.
It really is. Like, this is not any spot you want to be in, especially, again, since a lot of these other leagues are taking steps to make their games and their product better and more enjoyable. The NFL wants to go global. The MLB is doing a really good job at promoting their global side of the game already, and they've kind of grown a little bit over the past couple of years. The NHL did the Four Nations Cup, and it worked really well. The NBA had a really solid opportunity to help the league grow this year, and it's just not working. There's amazing basketball happening on the court through the first week of the season, and people are talking about gambling instead. It sucks.
Yes, it does. And your commissioner is hiding in a closet somewhere, not wanting to talk to anybody about what's going on.
Letting former players just say whatever they want about his league. Like, it's crazy.
When you need leadership, now more than ever, nothing. Got nothing. Nothing at all from Adam Silver. Just chilling. Just watching all hell break loose and not being out in the forefront. You know where Adam Silver should have been? He should have been in the studio, in that studio show at halftime, let's say, of that Bucks game the other night, on Tuesday night. He should have been there talking to these guys about what was going on and having a conversation. Or a pregame interview with Mike Tirico before the game that they play back at halftime and they tease during the game, and him answering questions. Instead, crickets.
And he's the most vocal commissioner out of all the major sports leagues in the United States by far.
Talks more than anyone.
Rob Manfred sometimes goes on TV shows occasionally and stuff. Goodell really won't do it all that much. He goes on like USA Today or Good Morning America, whatever that is. Adam Silver's on everything. He goes on podcasts. He just hangs out with like people with 1,000 subscribers. Like, he does, and now he's silent. Come on,
he'll sit in the stands with the people at NBA games.
Like, that's his thing. And now you're quiet when it's all going to hell. Like, this is crazy.
This is when they need you the most, dude. And Carmelo Anthony is not helping you at this point. Coming up next, we're talking with Ben Worgull, Badgers on SI. The Badgers lose a player. Well, they decided to lose this player. We'll get into what happened there and just how good is this Badgers team from a talent perspective looking going into this season. If we're being honest, I expect every year as a Badgers fan that they're going to be in the NCAA tournament. Now, I don't expect every year that he's going to get them to a Final Four because we have not seen Greg Gard do that, but I expect him to be in the NCAA tournament. I expect Marquette to be in the NCAA tournament every year. Doug Gottlieb was on this morning on Inside Wisconsin Sports with Trevor Thomas and Josh Albrecht. I don't expect them to ever be in the tournament. If we're being honest, I don't. Prove me wrong. Let's see what happens. But it's been a minute since we've seen Milwaukee in the horizon be in it either. Like, I think there is more to overcome now as a mid-major than there's ever been trying to get the type of talent that you need to, once you're in, get on a run. Like the Butlers of the world, Pearl in Milwaukee to this Sweet 16, that type of stuff. Maybe Gottlieb eventually does it and he gets him in the tournament and he will be praised. Last year, he was booed and ridiculed all year long. Maybe Doug Gottlieb gets it figured out. It would be cool if he did because it's been a minute since Green Bay's been any good in college basketball. But with the Badgers and Marquette, at least, those two schools outside of the Wojo era for Marquette are normally NCAA tournament teams. You talk about being a spoiled Wisconsin sports fan. I guess this just leads more to that. So Ben Worgull, Badgers on SI. Coming up next, it is Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live from Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Potawatomi giving away over $300,000 in prizes. It's autumn action. Yep, you heard that right. Over $300,000 in prizes, courtesy of our friends over at the Potawatomi Casino Hotel. Autumn action runs November 1st through November 20th, and you can earn entries playing with your rewards card. Prize drawings happen on Thursdays between 5 and 8 p.m. If you win, you get to pick your prize from the prize board. All leftover prizes go into a rollover jackpot drawing. For more info, go online at Potawatomi.com. Must be 21 years of age or older and a reward member to play. Welcome back, Wisconsin Sports Daily. Served up by Wendy's. See Sparky Fifer with you. Thanks to all of our fine affiliates around the state carrying us. WNFL in Green Bay and Appleton, 99.7 FM. 93.9 The Game in Wausau. Duluth and Superior, 710 The Game. And in Milwaukee, 1250 AM and 105.7 FM, The Fan. So again, thanks for tuning in, checking us out today here on Halloween. You can stream us on X. You can stream us on YouTube. And all of our socials at WI Sports Radio, at WI Sports Radio. We are in costume today, is Charlie Usen, other side of the glass, as am I over here. So if you want to check those out, check out what we're wearing, feel free to do that. With that being said, joining us now on the guest hotline, powered by Gruber Law, he is Ben Worgull of Badgers on SI. Follow him on Twitter at the Badger Nation. Ben, thanks for coming on, man. I appreciate it.
Good afternoon. How we doing?
Doing good, man. I wanted to have you on mainly because I was sick of talking about the football team in Wisconsin. So I wanted to talk about the basketball team to send off everybody into the weekend in a better mood than talking about the Badger football team. So with that being said, I wake up this morning to front page stuff of a player now leaving Wisconsin in Elijah Gray, who was a Temple transfer. And it sounds like this had something to do before he even got to Wisconsin. So what do we know about this?
Yeah, we don't know much. UW is pretty limited in what they can say on the record for privacy concerns. What we do know is that Elijah Gray did not play at all in any exhibition game. He was supposed to play in the red-white scrimmage, but he was held out due to an illness. And then he didn't travel to Milwaukee, and we never got a concrete reason as to why he didn't travel. I think a lot of us assumed it was still illness. But because we never got an official update, come Big Ten season, or actually come Monday, the Big Ten mandates that all schools will put out availability reports a couple hours before a game. They don't have to do that for exhibition games. So, Elijah Gray was brought in late. Of the 5 transfers Wisconsin brought in, he was number 5. He was officially announced by UW on July 1st. And this was someone that you thought was going to be a big addition just in terms of what he was representing, a experienced big who could help Wisconsin beyond Noah Winter and Austin Rapp, because you look at where Wisconsin is in the front court beyond those two, they're 2 freshman forwards and Ricardo Greppi, a junior forward, who really hasn't played much to this point, a sophomore forward. He really hasn't played much to this point. So it's kind of like you need some depth there. You need some experience. You need someone that can kind of has the knowledge of going through a college game when you get into foul troubles. I mean, Carter Gilmore was such an important part to this team last year because he could be that utility knife that fit all those different spots. Wisconsin was hoping Xavier Amos would fill that role this year, but he decided he didn't want to compete with Austin Rapp and transfer to Loyola Chicago. So what kind of loss is this? It's hard to quantify it because we never saw him play. But what Greg has said in the last couple of days is that even though this roster move maybe doesn't come at the best time, he still felt that the 4 guys he has are the 4 guys who had separated themselves throughout the entire course of the offseason and leading into the exhibition portion of the schedule, and that being Winter, Rapp, Belauskas, and Garlock. So, at some point you think Wisconsin's going to miss a veteran presence, but again, it feels like in the pecking order, Elijah Gray was number 5 out of 6 or 7 out of a total of 6 or 7 guys. So what kind of loss? We'll find out, or actually we'll never know because we never saw him play.
Correct. Right. Absolutely right. Ben, we talk about these forwards that they've got, and obviously we all know Nolan Winter and what he can do. Tell us about Austin Rapp, because I don't think a lot of people have seen him play yet.
Yeah, he comes to Wisconsin from Portland College. He was the West Coast Conference Freshman of the Year last year. He shot the majority of his attempts last year from 3. Over 60% of his attempts were from 3, despite him being 6'10", 6'11-ish. And Wisconsin is going to certainly need him to be on the perimeter this year, but they also need him to battle inside. They're going to need an inside presence at points. Watching him against Oklahoma, he reminded me a little bit of John Tonje in terms of how he plays. Tonje last year was able to score from multiple areas on the floor, back to the basket, driving to the lane to draw contact, wasn't afraid to go inside, and certainly his ability on the perimeter led Wisconsin to an extraordinary season. Rapp does a lot of those same things, now not the same level as John. Certainly they're different players, but he can put the ball on the floor and drive to the rim. He can play with his back to the basket. He can play a little bit of the pick and pop game, and he certainly is comfortable shooting from three. Now, he hasn't shot a real high percentage yet for the exhibition portion of the schedule. Those games, to me, stats, I don't care about the stats during the exhibition portion of the schedule. I don't think a lot of people should. It's what can you do? How comfortable do you look doing those things? And to me, Rapp has looked very comfortable kind of creating his offense. And this is a team that's not going to be hesitant to shoot. They have a lot of shooters on this team. They're going to shoot a lot of threes, probably more threes than a year ago. I think that's kind of how this roster has been built. And I think Rapp is going to be someone that people are really going to enjoy watching. He's an Australian. He's got a funky haircut. He's got a little swagger to him. And he's a big that can do a lot of things that a typical Wisconsin big has done in the past, but maybe just a little bit more athleticism than some of those other bigs. And so he fits in well with what this program wants to do from an offensive standpoint.
Ben Worgull, Badgers on SI. Follow him on Twitter at the Badger Nation. Joining us here on Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy. Steve Sparky, Fifer with you. From that position to the guard position, obviously getting Blackwell back for another year is a huge bonus pop. Outside of him, who else do you look at? I mean, you get this roadie kid from Virginia who comes back to Wisconsin from being from Brookfield, I think is where he's from. What else do they have at that guard position offensively?
Well, the big guy is Nick Boyd. He's going to be the point guard this year. This is going to be, he's been in college since the 2020-21 season. So this is a COVID and medical redshirt type super senior that Wisconsin's going to have at its fingertips. And he picked Wisconsin over North Carolina. So that's already saying something. He led Florida Atlantic. He was a part of the Florida Atlantic team that went to the Final Four 2 years ago, spent last season at San Diego State, got them to the NCAA tournament as well. Greg Gard says he's got the heart of a lion. And when you have that from your point guard, I think that's really exciting. That's kind of what you want. You want that fearless leader at the point, not afraid to play fast, not afraid to drive in the lane. Sometimes he goes a little bit too fast. And so now it's just kind of about finding that right tempo, finding that right synergy within the workings of the offense to really make things hum. But he's someone that I think fans are really going to be excited to watch, kind of like what Austin Rapp is going to be. A lot of these guys, they're going to be fun to watch this year. It gets guys pumped up, guys like playing with him. He creates, not afraid to shoot. He took double-digit shots against Oklahoma, shot a little bit fewer against Platteville, but someone that's really not afraid to kind of generate offense. Andrew Rohde, like you said, from Brookfield, played at Virginia, so he's got that same kind of technological discipline approach to it from the Tony Bennett kind of tree there when Bennett was there a couple of years ago. The thing that will be interesting to watch was Andrew Rohde was really good at Virginia when he was playing the point, when he had the ball in his hands. He struggled a little bit a couple of years ago after he transferred from St. Thomas, working at an off-ball spot in the guard. Wisconsin's going to have him in that off-ball spot. But what we've seen him do well through two exhibition games is that he passes very well because of that point guard ability. He has a good knowledge of where he needs to be on the floor with spacing. He's big for a quote-unquote guard. Probably Wisconsin is going to use him at the three. And defensively, he's very intelligent defensively. We haven't seen him shoot the ball at a high clip. We haven't seen him score at a high clip through these 2-3 exhibition games. He reminds me a little bit of Max Klesmit and the type of role he's going to fill, except he's a bigger type player than Klesmit was. I think he's going to kind of fit in really well. And then another kind of X factor is going to be Braden Carrington, another transfer who's started Minnesota, was at Tulsa last year. He's going to fill that Kamari McGee role. And McGee was so important in Wisconsin last year, coming off the bench because of that energy, that spark that he brought with his ability to handle the point guard role with John Blackwell. Carrington's not a point guard. He's more kind of a two, but he brings that same type of energy, very, very sound defensively. He's a good rebounder. He likes kind of doing that dirty work type thing. Wisconsin needs that type of pit bull type guard off the bench. Then, of course, you have Jack Janicki, and you have a bunch of other kind of guys that are trying to kind of fill in a role to a degree. But look at it this way. They've played 10 guys in their rotation. 7 of them are new to the program this year. So you have to kind of get that ID card here a little bit to kind of learn who some of these guys are. And that's kind of the thing what Greg Gard's trying to do. He's trying to learn who these guys are and what their strengths are. He said he's going to play more 5-on-5 in practice than he usually does, just to try to build that chemistry, try to get into a flow. Because you can tell they've been a little choppy these first 2 games. But I think it's a group that on paper fits exactly what Wisconsin wants to do. And I think Wisconsin was smart in how they scheduled. They got 4 non-conference games at home against mid-major schools to kind of get that rhythm right before the tough stretch at the end of November where they go to BYU, which is a top 10 team, playing in Salt Lake City, and then that tournament in San Diego where they could see defending national champion Florida in the second round of that tournament as well.
So I think this has come up depending on the sports talk show you listen to, or depending on who you're going out to the bars with or whatever, which is how is it Greg Gard can play in this NIL world and keep his team competitive and not essentially lose much. And yet the football program is in complete disarray and is in the toilet compared to where it was prior to Luke Fickell getting here. I think the easy answer is, well, you don't need as much money to take care of basketball as you do football. But the other part of it too is I think Kirk Penny played a large role in how the Badgers kind of took a step forward here the last couple of years.
Yeah, the story goes is that when Kurt came in, he just kind of came in to kind of talk shop with Greg after he retired, and they kind of were kicking around different ideas from the offense and things like that. And then Greg was able to offer Kirk a job as special assistant. And then if you remember a couple years ago, they went out to Providence and got boat raced.
Yep.
And they were embarrassed in Providence. And then so they're about to fly back, and the plane gets delayed because of weather. And so they're sitting around and they're talking as a coaching staff, and they basically said, do we go all in on this change? I mean, we can't tiptoe in. We have to go all in. And the group agreed. And you could tell from that point of the season on that they were different now compared to Wisconsin of old. Now, there are still bumps in the road. There's still kind of little hiccups here and there. But
and Penny is gone now, too, which also is another bump in the road.
Correct. But I think the foundation that he set is in place with this team. And now what's different, in my opinion, of what the basketball team is different than the football team is the basketball team had a clear direction of what they wanted to do. They knew exactly who they wanted to target in the portal, who they wanted to retain, how they wanted to build a team. And to be fair, last year, they got really lucky with John Tonje. If John Tonje isn't the John Tonje that he ended up being, Wisconsin's probably not nearly as good as they were. This past year, everyone they targeted was targeted for a specific reason, for a specific role. The problem with the football team is Fickell's been here 3 years. I don't know what the identity of the football team is.
Yep.
You know, they went to the air raid. Okay, but they didn't go all in on the air raid. And then they got an injury, then they had to back off, and then they had to go more to a running attack. Then the air raid year 2, it's not working. We're going to fire Phil Longo. We're going to go back to a different style. Well, now you've recruited to the Phil Longo air raid style for a couple of years, and now you're bringing in those players to run that system, but now you're running a different system with those players. Of course it's going to look like a mess. The problem is that Fickell I still don't know what the identity of Wisconsin football is. I haven't seen it. Wisconsin basketball changed their identity and bought into that identity in Providence, and it's paid off dividends with how they're playing, with how the game has changed, because it's a more offensive flow game now than it was, 5-10 years ago. And they've adapted to those rules. And last year was an efficient year from an offensive standpoint. They grew defensively. They weren't as great defensively as they needed to be. That was part of the problem why they didn't advance to the second weekend of the tournament. And now that's kind of the focal point of this year. They brought in some offensive guys. They brought in some guys who are strong defensively, and they all kind of fit this style that they want to play. Now, Kirk Penny's not there anymore. They brought in Brad Davison. It'll be interesting to kind of see what Davison's role is going to be. I think he's still figuring out, too, what his role is going to be. But the blueprint is there, and the wherewithal of how to play is fully entrenched. Even though Kirk's gone, they're going to run that style, and they're going to buy into it. And I think that's why the basketball team has been able to pivot in this era, while the football team is still kind of is just struggling to kind of find any type of footing. And it is a little bit apples and oranges too with the scheduling too. You're able to schedule a little bit differently with your resume and things like that than you are with football. But it's very clear that basketball has a vision and the football team does not.
Ben Worgull, Badgers on SI. You'll hear him throughout the Badger season, I'm sure, as we'll get him on from time to time. Follow him on Twitter at the Badger Nation. Ben, thanks so much for coming on, man. I appreciate it.
Anytime. Thanks, guys.
You betcha. Take care. There he is, Ben Worgull, joining us on the guest hotline powered by Gruber Law. One call, that's all. Coming up next, Charlie's Sounds of the Day. But before we get to that, did you see the latest NFL news on Travis Hunter?
Yes.
Travis Hunter apparently hurt his knee yesterday. Adam Schefter saying that the ACL is intact, but they put him on IR today, so that sucks.
Yeah, I saw that when I was checking out my fantasy teams earlier. My dynasty team takes a big hit from that one, yeah.
He really hasn't had that great of a year.
No,
though,
but last game he was really good, and in a dynasty league where I need him to kind of stay healthy for a long period of time, not really a great start.
But at least the ACL's not torn.
That's
Hey,
true.
when the Bucks win, you win at Wendy's. After every Bucks win, stop by and participate in Wisconsin Wendy's for a free small vanilla or chocolate frosty classic. No purchase necessary. This offer is only good for 24 hours after a win, so act fast. Get that free small frosty classic at Wendy's. Next up for the Milwaukee Bucks, Sacramento, coming up tomorrow. Coming up next, Charlie Sounds of the Day, brought to you by Prize Picks. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here. Welcome back. It is Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy. Sparky here, Charlie using over there on our Halloween costumes. You can check us out streaming live on X or on YouTube. All of our social media at WI Sports Radio, at WI Sports Radio. And you can check us out that way, whether it's Instagram, whether it's X, YouTube, Facebook. We are everywhere. Plus, Charlie also posted a picture in all places of Charlie and I's costumes. If you want to look at that later tonight, if you can't stream right now, you can definitely look at that later tonight and laugh at Charlie myself. Righteous Gemstones is Charlie's costume.
I think I'm rocking like the stud in my ear. I think it's a good look.
You like it?
I don't think it's
what
something
is
I'm
your,
going to continue
what is
to
your
do.
girl thing? Does she like it?
She would probably like it more than I actually
Really?
do, honestly, yeah.
Yeah. I think the mustache you need to stay with.
Well, I've had it for like the past
but
couple
normal,
months.
you just
now.
let it all grow out.
I was gonna let it grow
whatever.
back out again. I don't know. I gotta go back to the beard and let it cover it back up. I don't like how my chin looks with no facial hair. You know.
I can't even see your chin.
Exactly. That's the point.
You
the
want a
beard
more
gives a
pronounced
definition.
chin?
Yeah,
Is that it?
The beard gives a definition. You know, you can see the edge.
See, I never pay attention to stuff like that.
What sound clips will Chicago Charlie pick today for Sparky? Will Sparky become enraged? Will laughter ensue? It's time for Charlie's Sound of the Day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network.
All right, let's get to it. Charlie using. This is brought to you by Prize Picks. You and I make decisions every day, but on Prize Picks, being right can get you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement in the sports season. On Prize Picks, whether you're a football fan, a basketball fan, or a fan of both like me, it always feels good to be right. We'll talk more about Prize Picks and my lineup that I have for this weekend coming up momentarily. Charlie using, where are we going first?
All right. First, we're going to head over to Foul Territory, where Maury Brown of Forbes was on their show discussing baseball's inability to elevate its stars.
The ability to get stars elevated has largely been, I think, the issue. And that, of course, centers around, again, the game's design. You just have to be built with a roster that's solid from front to back, 1 through 9. You just have to have that. Whereas a skill player in basketball or football can really move the needle. I guess the only other thing, and I don't know how we do this, guys, we're starting to see more and more of it. But, in basketball and football, college is the feeder system. And that gives a lot of players additional visibility through television. Baseball doesn't have that for the most part, right? We have the College World Series, and that's pretty much it. Yep. So the ability to get star players' names as more household is really going to be largely about opportunity. So again, I think that it's great that we see somebody like Skeens and the Pirates, right? I mean, you're starting to see the ability of some of these smaller markets where the clubs haven't performed well, him being involved with T-Mobile, obviously Francisco Lindor, you get guys like that. But again, I think that it really is going to boil down to trying to be competitive and being able to be competitive for enough time to become household names.
Listen, I feel like we're just going to talk about the same thing we always talk about, which is MLB just sucks at marketing. Like I don't think it's anything more than that. Giannis was in Milwaukee. They didn't have any problem marketing him around the world quickly. Now I don't know if Paul Skeens is known in Japan.
I was going to say that's a little different because Giannis is a international player, so he already had a little bit of global draw to him because of that.
Do people know who Mike Trout is?
Probably not as much.
Should they have?
Yeah, probably.
He was the best player in baseball for a good few years. And again, I have no idea. You got the World Series going on right now. Vladdy Guerrero Jr. How many people know who that cat is?
Not as many that know who Giannis is, no.
No. And there's millions and millions watching in Canada, watching in the U.S., and watching in Japan for all the different reasons, right? You have several players from Japan in this World Series. You have a team from Canada in the World Series, and then obviously the U.S., we always watch the World Series. But that is part of the issue that I see, which is they don't do a good enough job internationally. The NFL is traveling all over the place to play NFL games to where it's almost like every week now we have an international game. The NBA has been doing this stuff forever. They were the leaders, the pioneers to get going internationally. And what does baseball do? What, we play in Mexico. Okay, great. But that doesn't help you expand anywhere past that, right? That to me is one of the bigger issues I see with Major League Baseball is they don't know how to get themselves out there internationally to grow the game and grow their stars, Charlie.
Which is just kind of insane since it is the first American sport to kind of get itself out there that globally and have a fan base that follows the sport itself globally. I mean, basketball's worked for a really long time to get even remotely close to that point. It should be easy for them, MLB, to do this, and it's just weird that they don't.
Do they not have baseball stadiums in other parts of the world outside of Japan?
They got them everywhere.
I don't understand.
Central South America, I know they play a lot of baseball and love baseball down there.
But do they have stadiums?
I would think so.
That hold up to Major League Baseball standards.
Maybe not
where
Major
they
League Baseball standards, but places in like you mentioned Mexico City before, but like Puerto Rico, I feel like they could find a way to put a stadium there or build a stadium or have a stadium that's big enough already.
That's the other thing, right? How much do you want to invest in doing that? We just talked, was it yesterday, before, about building a replica polo grounds in Brooklyn, and they're going to have yearly games there on the Major League Baseball schedule. All right, let's go to clip number 2 so we don't run out of time.
Next up, we're going to head over to your favorite First Take and hear from one of your other favorites, Stephen A. Smith, discussing the Dolphins firing Chris Greer, their GM, this morning, and not their head coach or quarterback, as he brings up.
This BS. That's the first fire? Really? That's what we doing? Well, what we've seen, what we just finished talking about. There's things that need to be modified, et cetera, but the personnel that they have on their squad, although we're not happy with it, we didn't walk into this season thinking they were going to be trash. We looked at their roster and we said they got some potential. We'll see what happens. It was about Tua. It was about Mike McDaniel. And the brother get fired first. All I know is this. I better hear Mike McDaniel's name today.
Oh my God.
I better hear Mike McDaniel's name today.
But
it better not be just Chris Greer. And I'm not saying that he don't deserve it because of the way they look. At the end, you at the helm. I got it. I understand it. Listen, I'm all for brothers as head coaches, GMs. We know what battles I've been fighting for over 30 years. Okay, I got it. All right? But because when you don't get the job done, you don't get the damn job done. Period. I got it. Don't tell me it's just him. Don't tell me we going to leave Mike McDaniels in place and we just going to fire him and we going to move forward. Damn that. I don't want to hear. I'm waiting for more news.
Okay, here, let me help. He's not getting fired. He's going to get to coach his team next year, and then he's going to get fired, and then they're going to move on from Tua if they suck again. They're going to the owner is going to make this new GM take the coach and the quarterback for one more year. You want to know why? Because Tua right now has a dead cap hit in 26 of $99.2 million. That's the dead cap hit. He's going to make $56.4 million in 26. He's not cashing out on McDaniel's contract and letting Tua start over. Now, once you get to 27, that dead cap number becomes 31.8 with a cap hit of 53.4. Now you can get out. So now what happens? You hire a new GM that you hope can develop talent and has a good idea on the draft. You then let that guy draft your future quarterback to replace Tua. He sits behind Tua for the last year of McDaniel and Tua. Then you move on from both and bring in the coach that's going to develop the next quarterback in 2027 when we get going. That's my prediction. All right, what's third clip?
We should show Wisconsin those numbers first and say, hey, firing Luke Fickell isn't that bad. See?
It's not happening. It's not happening.
Still not happening.
No, it's not happening.
All right, and last up here, we're going to hear from Charles Barkley, who was on the Dan Patrick Show, and he was sharing his thoughts on the ongoing NBA betting scandal.
We make more money in 1 month than most people are going to make their entire lifetime. And all you got to do is play basketball. We're the luckiest people in the world. I say this about sports, man. I love sports, but we are so lucky and blessed. We get to do something so stupid, and we make more money. Think about it, Dan. Most of us get paid, back then, you get paid twice a month. And you make more money during that period than most people are going to make in their lifetime, the money these guys are making today. And to do something, hopefully, like I say, I'm hoping all these allegations are not true. But if you did something this stupid, it's just stupid, plain and simple.
Yeah, stupid, plain and simple. I don't think anybody's going to disagree with you on stupid, plain and simple, based on what's going on with these guys. The Feds are wrong. I mean, I'm not saying they're always right necessarily, and they're not going to always get the guy correct. Maybe they will get away and not have to serve any time, but I would be shocked if that actually happens. Would be absolutely shocked if they were able to get away with it. So, see, we ran out of time for Prize Picks now. We'll talk more about Prize Picks coming up in the next hour. That'll wrap it up for Charlie's Sounds of the Day. Straight ahead, Green and Gold Update. We'll hear from Matt LaFleur. Fantasy Football Friday. Joe Bartel, RotoWire Fantasy Sports comes up at 4:20. And then it's Follow the Money with Austin Herdenia from the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Dial it up. Text in Nicolay Law Talk and text line 414-677-1250. 4 o'clock hour coming up next. Wisconsin Sports Daily served up by Wendy's. Live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios. Powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here.